Most people think adopting a cat is pretty simple. You get a food bowl, a litter box, maybe a few toys, and you think that's basically it. But the moment you bring that cat home, something strange starts happening. Your sleep schedule gets completely messed up. You wake up at 4 a.m. because a cat is sprinting across your bed. And somehow, your house slowly stops feeling like it belongs to you anymore. These are the things you notice after adopting a cat that nobody really warns you about. But here's what most new owners don't expect. Once a cat actually moves into your home, you start noticing little things that seem kind of strange. Your cat disappears for hours and then suddenly walks out as if nothing happened. They sprint across the house in the middle of the night. Sometimes they just sit there staring at you, like they're trying to figure out what kind of human you are. And occasionally they'll walk over, look directly at your glass of water, and push it off the table for absolutely no reason. The funny thing is, none of this behavior is random. Once you start understanding it, living with a cat suddenly makes a lot more sense. So, if you've ever wondered what really happens after adopting a cat, here are 7 things new cat owners notice almost immediately. 1. Why your cat hides at first. When you bring a cat home for the first time, most people expect one thing. You open the carrier, and the cat walks around the house exploring everything. But that's usually not what happens. Instead, you open the carrier, and the cat disappears. They run straight under the bed, behind the couch, sometimes even inside a closet. And suddenly, you're walking around your house thinking, wait, where did my cat go? A lot of new owners panic at this point. They start wondering if the cat is scared of them or if something went wrong. But this is actually one of the most normal things a cat can do in a new home. For a cat, moving into a new house is a huge change. Everything is unfamiliar. The smells are different. The sounds are different. Even the layout of the space is completely new. So the safest thing a cat can do at first is find a quiet place where they can hide and watch. From that hiding spot, they're slowly figuring things out. Who lives here? What the sounds are? Whether this place is safe. They're not trying to avoid you. They're just taking time to understand their new world. This is why many cats start by choosing one safe hiding place under the bed, behind furniture, somewhere quiet and protected. And for the first day or two, that spot becomes their base. But something interesting usually happens after a little while. Curiosity starts to win. They slowly peek out. Maybe they explore the room when everything is quiet. Maybe they walk around at night when the house is calm. Little by little, they begin to map out their new territory. And before long, that same cat that vanished on day 1 is suddenly walking around the house like they've lived there forever. But hiding is only the first surprise people notice when they bring a new cat home. 2. Your sleep schedule suddenly changes. Another surprise many people notice after bringing a cat home is what happens to their sleep. At first, everything seems normal. Your cat settles down. The house gets quiet. You turn off the lights and go to bed. And then, around 4 in the morning, chaos. Suddenly, you hear something sprinting through the hallway. A few seconds later, your cat launches across the bed like they're competing in some kind of midnight race. One moment you're asleep. The next moment, a cat just ran across your legs. A lot of new owners wonder what's going on. Why is the cat suddenly so active in the middle of the night? The answer is actually pretty simple. Cats tend to be most active early in the morning and again later in the evening. That's when their instincts kick in. So while you're trying to sleep, your cat might feel like it's the perfect time to run, jump, and burn off energy. That's why many cats suddenly get what people call the zoomies. They race around the house, jump on furniture, chase invisible targets across the floor. And sometimes your bed becomes part of the racetrack. Another thing that often happens is your cat learning your routine. If they figure out that breakfast happens in the morning, they may start waking you up earlier and earlier. Some cats sit next to the bed staring at you. Others gently tap your face. And some cats are a little less subtle and simply walk across you until you wake up. Over time, most cats slowly adjust to the rhythm of the house. But even then, the occasional midnight zoomie still happens. But sleep isn't the only thing that changes after bringing a cat home. 3. Why cats scratch your furniture. Another moment that surprises many new cat owners usually happens a few days after the cat settles in. At first, everything seems normal. Your cat walks around the house, finds a few favorite spots, maybe curls up on the couch, and then one day you hear a very specific sound. Scratch, scraw, scrur, atch. You turn around and your cat is digging their claws straight into the side of your couch. If the couch is brand new, that moment can feel a little painful. You might rush, overthinking, hey, not the couch. But here's the thing, most people don't realize at first. Your cat isn't trying to ruin your furniture. Scratching is actually something cats naturally need to do. It helps them keep their claws healthy. It also lets them stretch their legs, shoulders, and back. When cats scratch, they're stretching their whole body at the same time. But there's another reason behind it. When cats scratch something, they also leave a scent behind from glands in their paws. To a cat, that scratch mark is like a small message that says, this space belongs to me. That's why furniture often becomes a favorite target. Couches, chairs, and door frames are right in the middle of the home, so scratching them helps a cat feel like the space is truly theirs. This is also why scratching posts make such a big difference. When cats have a proper place to scratch, they can release that energy without turning your furniture into their personal project. Although, sometimes the couch still wins that battle. And scratching isn't the only way cats start claiming your home. 4. Your phone fills with cat photos. Another thing people rarely expect after getting a cat is what happens to their phone. At first, you take one picture. Maybe your cat is sleeping in a strange position or sitting in a tiny box that somehow fits perfectly. So you snap a quick photo, but then it happens again. Your cat does something weird or funny or unexpectedly adorable. So you take another picture and another. Before long, something strange happens to your camera roll. You scroll through your photos and suddenly half of them are just your cat, sleeping on the couch, staring out the window, curled up in a box that's clearly too small. Cats just have a way of creating little moments throughout the day that make you reach for your phone. One minute, they're doing something cute. The next minute, they're doing something so strange you need proof that it actually happened. And eventually, you realize something funny. Your cat might actually have more pictures in your phone than your friends and family. But photos aren't the only thing that starts changing. Once a cat moves in. 5. Your cat follows you everywhere. Another thing many people notice after living with a cat for a little while is that they're suddenly not alone anymore. At first, it's subtle. You walk into the kitchen, and a few seconds later, your cat walks in too. You go sit on the couch, and somehow the cat shows up there as well. Then one day, you stand up to go to another room, and you hear soft little footsteps behind you. You turn around, and your cat is following you down the hallway. A lot of cat owners eventually realize something funny. Their cat has basically become a tiny shadow, room to room, step by step, always somewhere nearby. At first, people sometimes think this means the cat is being needy, but most of the time, it's really just curiosity. Cats are naturally interested in what the people around them are doing. If you suddenly stand up and walk somewhere, your cat might simply want to see what's happening. Where are you going? Is there food involved? Is something interesting happening? But once cats feel comfortable in a home, they also tend to enjoy being close to the people they trust. And that's when many owners discover one of the most famous cat behaviors of all: bathroom supervision. You close the bathroom door, and suddenly a cat is waiting outside. Sometimes they sit quietly by the door. Sometimes they scratch at it. And sometimes they stare at the door like they're deeply concerned about what you're doing in there. Then the moment you open the door, the cat walks in like it was their idea to check the place out. It's one of those little things almost every cat owner eventually experiences. And after a while, something even stranger starts happening. 6. Your cat learns your routine fast. After a while, many cat owners start noticing something a little strange. Their cat seems to know their schedule. At first, it shows up in small ways. You walk into the kitchen and your cat suddenly appears. Not just sometimes, almost every time. Then one day, you notice something even funnier. Your cat is already sitting by the food bowl before you've even touched the food. It's like they somehow know dinner is about to happen. The reason is actually pretty simple. Cats are extremely observant. They spend a lot of time quietly watching what the humans in their home do, and they quickly learn the signals that something interesting is about to happen. The sound of a cabinet opening, the rattle of a food container, the moment you walk into the kitchen. Once cats connect those little signals, they start predicting what comes next. That's why many cats cats appear right before dinner or show up at the door just before you usually get home. Before long, it can feel like your cat knows your daily routine almost as well as you do. And once that happens, you start noticing something else about your home. Your cat may actually think they run it. 7. Your house slowly stops being yours. After living with a cat for a while, many people start noticing one final change. Their house doesn't quite feel like their house anymore. Not in a bad way, just in a very specific cat way. It usually starts with small things. Your favorite chair suddenly becomes your cat's favorite chair. You stand up for a minute, come back, and the cat is already sitting there, like it's been their spot the whole time. Then it spreads fresh laundry on the bed, your laptop while you're trying to work, the exact pillow you were about to use. Cats seem to have a special ability to choose the one place you were planning to sit, and they choose it with perfect timing. Before long, the house starts developing unofficial cat zones. The sunny window, the corner of the couch, the warm pile of laundry that was supposed to be folded. Once a cat decides a spot is comfortable, they tend to keep coming back to it, and most cat owners eventually realize something funny. Instead of asking, why is the cat sitting in my spot? They start thinking, okay, I guess I'll sit somewhere else. At that point, something interesting had happened. The house may technically belong to you, but in your cat's mind, they're the ones running the place. And strangely enough, most cat owners end up being perfectly fine with that. When people first think about adopting a cat, they usually imagine the basics: food, a litter box, maybe a few toys. But as you've probably noticed, cat adoption changes daily life in ways most people never expect. Your routine shifts. Your sleep schedule gets a little strange. Your favorite chair might suddenly belong to someone else, and somehow your phone fills up with hundreds of cat photos. But once you start understanding your cat's behavior, those little moments begin to make sense. The hiding, the zoomies in the middle of the night, the quiet footsteps follow you from room to room. They're not random habits. They're just part of how cats slowly adjust to a new home and to the people in it. Over time, those strange little behaviors start feeling normal, because that's when you realize something important. Your cat isn't just living in your house anymore. They've become part of your everyday life. And somewhere along the way, the whole situation quietly flips. You may think you adopted a cat, but after a while, it starts feeling like your cat adopted you.